This is gonna get weird. I mean, it's already weird because I'm making the video in the dark at a birthday party for a child. Party's not happening right now, obviously, but I'm in like a party room where all the kids are gone now, but they're gonna come back. And I don't know how long. Oh, that's not one of them, but there's kids around, so that's cool. I'm sitting in the dark because if I turn the light on, I feel like people can like see into the room way better, and there's like a window in the door, and I don't know. I was thinking about going to the car to make this video, but I'm not, so I don't know. This is gonna be a weird video, weird conversation already. So I'm rolling with it. That's a minute of me explaining how being weird. So cool, good start. As per usual, I don't know what I'm going to call this conversation yet, but has somewhat to do with what? How do I explain this? You know what? Let's just call it John has baby fever. Let's call it that. So, if you recall, I mean, or you know me personally, like really personally, you would know that my attitude towards having kids over the past, I don't even know, decade or longer has been pretty consistent. Yeah, definitely longer than a decade. Has been consistently like, nah, I'm good, thanks, I don't need kids. And if you didn't know that, but maybe you watched the very first like the introduction and the first conversation that I ever had on this, well, if you want to call it the podcast, or if you're watching the video, the channel, whatever, this whole thing that I've been doing since last year, January, I talked about legacy, and I talked about I mentioned in there how I didn't want kids, and how I've been thinking about what does legacy mean to me, tying that in with anxiety, with leaving something behind, with all this other stuff, mortality and dying and whatever, right? And part of that is due to the fact that I think a lot of people deal with maybe their legacy just by having kids. And even if at that time I think I mentioned, even if I knew I wanted kids or whatever, I don't think that's the legacy to leave behind. I think that you can do something with your life that's actually productive and make changes that are for the better of your, you, your family, your friends, your community, your city, province, state, whatever, country, world, etc. And that you can do other things to leave a legacy other than just being hey, I did this biological act and now there's a new kid in the world. Cool, that's my legacy. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people really content with that, and I've never been content with that. It's not an accomplishment. I think that having a kid, period, is not an accomplishment. Obviously, putting in the work and raising a child to be a critical thinking, human that can, analyze and make decisions and whatever. There's a lot of work that goes into all that stuff. Even just the day-to-day of just keeping a kid alive from day to day. I completely understood before I ever had any kids adjacent to me, close to me, that was obviously not an easy task, but it's definitely nothing that I would hang my hat up and be oh, well, I accomplished something in my life, so, I made sure this kid didn't die for 18 years, and so, for some people that's it. That's all that it is for them, is just making sure that this kid's alive. Well, I fed the kid, and then I changed their clothes every once in a while, so I guess they're okay. Obviously, there's so much more to raising a human that may be productive to society and be a lifelong learner and all those other things. But yeah, that's been the attitude I've had for years and years and years. Like I said, over a decade for sure. I just haven't wanted kids. Just talking about legacy, was talking about how people seem to sometimes need that, or they feel fulfilled by that, and that's never been me, and still isn't, and never will be. But I always thought I don't need them, so I won't have them, because I don't need kids to fulfill my life. Is a phrase I used. I don't need that's not going to be what gives me fulfillment in my life. That if I don't need that, then why would I have that? Because I get opportunities. Part of it is if I wasn't a teacher, would I still feel the same way? I think so. I'm pretty sure I would. But I also do have opportunities to influence youth to be critical thinkers, again, lifelong learners, things like that. I know these are like buzzwords, but I mean, they encapsulate exactly what I feel and what I'm talking about. I have opportunity through teaching to kind of pass on information like this. Oh, snap. Okay, that only took 30 seconds and I already forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, about fulfillment, I think that it's just, yeah, like, even if I didn't get the opportunity to kind of pass on some things that I think are important or have some influence or whatever, I mean, I don't know. I can do that with art and writing and all forms of art without having to directly be like a teacher or something. I don't know. Anyway, now that I'm off the rails, yeah, I just didn't need that. And then I never thought that would change at all, and I don't know 100% of the reason why that's changed. But I met somebody a while ago that has children, and yeah, I just didn't. I don't know. I don't want to go into all the details for so many reasons, but I feel like it's something that I don't know. I wanted to talk about a bit, and then it like really hit me today. I was like, yeah, this is going to be the thing I talk about right now. That I just like, it just hit me with this so many things at once that all relate. Where where I don't know, I've been more involved in this family dynamic than I didn't know if that was going to be the case. I never, if it was, 6 months ago, I never would have, I've been like, yeah, that's never going to happen. And then slowly, it became a thing. And now here we are today, where I'm at an 8-year-old's birthday party. So with oh, you can't see my shirt, never mind. I stained it with chocolate. My white, crisp white t-shirt. You probably can't tell in the dark anyway. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to go into a lot of details for many reasons, but suffice to say that I've become involved, and it's interesting. That's not supposed to sound bad or negative or anything like that. I just don't know how to describe it without going into too much detail. It's a trip. It's really, I don't know. I had a lot of anxiety. I did not know if I was going to get involved for a long time, and that it was just like a lot of anxiety, a lot of just like, no, I can't do this. Like, this is not for me. Like, this is just not. It's just too much. I never wanted it, and now here I am, and I can't force myself into this box. And like, this is like a life. This is a change. This is a life change. Like, this is a, it's a major thing. It's not just a little commitment. Like, it's a really big deal, and it's, to be real, something I could walk away from at any point if I really wanted to. But just like, yeah, committing and staying committed and like whatever would be the change in my whole life. Like, I've never thought, anytime I thought about the future with like a life partner, it's never involved children. And that affects so much, like mental energy, physical energy, time, emotions, just like day-to-day life, you know what I mean? Like expenses, just, I don't know, just like having more bodies in the house than just two, right? Yeah, it's just a lot. And like a complete shift in priorities. And again, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just, I don't want to say it took a long time to get used to. It was like, it was kind of just like myself, I don't know what it was, my whatever, was fighting it in a way. I was getting mega anxiety, but I logically and reasonably, I knew, I'm like, this anxiety doesn't mean don't do it. This anxiety is just there because this is an idea that I am getting used to, that I have to process, that I didn't know. Like, I wasn't trying to convince myself one way or the other. I wanted to give things an honest shot, and my anxiety got too bad to a point where I almost walked away, and then gave it another opportunity. And again, this is where I am right now. I'm trying to say a lot by saying a little, because I feel like I can't really say a lot by saying a lot. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just like, yeah. Anyway, so this whole thing, I don't know. I have like somewhat of an example to a degree of a comedy special by Chris D'Elia called Man on Fire, where he's talking about Denzel Washington and the movie Man on Fire and being like super, super cool and being in movies and stuff. But there's like I wish I could I should have well no I shouldn't have rewatched the whole special just so that I could have like one line for this video or this podcast, but there is a thing that he says about like not being, like you're not the star of the movie right now or something like that. This is someone else's movie that you're in, and you have to like consider that. I don't know. It was just this weird thing where I've seen the special twice now, and once was when I think first came out years ago, and then once I watched like maybe 4 months ish ago, and I don't know. There's the latter half of it is really involved with Crystalia talking about how his friends have kids and he doesn't have any kids. And then how one of them has this little daughter, I don't remember how old she is, like 4 or 5. And then how just like kids are dumb and whatever, and he's trying to be like hard and just be like, he's not being a softie. And then, but she just like comes up and talks to him or whatever, and then he just turns 10-ply. And just like eventually, he keeps saying like, man, streets is real out here. And like how hard it is in the streets, and how he just wants to like not face reality in more than one way, but also just like, man, there's this little girl here who wants my attention, and I can't just like. He just talked about priorities even in that scenario. It's not his kid; he has no responsibility. She's just visiting his house with his good friend, and how she wants to like show him his own garden. He's like, yeah, it's my backyard. I know what's in there. And he just talks about like playing along because he's not the star of her movie. So it's something like that. I can't remember the exact phrasing verbatim, but about how he's not the man on fire. Like he's not Denzel Washington. He's not this like cool like hardcore badass and stuff. And how he had to like play along, and how like she showed him this like secret garden and stuff, and like this orange tree. Like I don't know, it was just this thing, and you have to watch it to really get it, because I'm doing it a huge injustice. It's really funny, but it also was like something that I was like, yeah, that kind of like, I don't know. It struck a little bit of a chord with me. I understood it the second time in a different way. I got something different out of it than I did the first time I watched it, because it was still funny and I still like got it, but I didn't feel it on a personal level. And then like whenever I watched it 3-4 months ago, whenever it was. The second time, after not seeing it for years, I had this different context that was kind of there, and I was just like, ugh, like I don't know, it was just like funny, but it was, I don't know, and now I don't know, it's weird to think of like, I guess that's the thing, is this like selfishness, that I don't think it's a bad selfishness to have, to be like, I want to accomplish this in my life, I want to do this, I want to be very driven, I want to be more disciplined, I want to create and pass on, art and things, and pass on these things that my learnings, not just through formal, education of being a teacher or something, but just like by leaving these things behind and never having like really this direct thing with like I don't know, it's different to like teach students than it is to have your own child, right? Not that I have my own child, but like to be in a family dynamic, to be in a role that is not just like a teacher role, or like I don't know how to explain it. It's just really different. And the thing is that with the amount of involvement that I have, my priorities have shifted. My life has already begun to shift with how I spend my time and what I do. And it's an interesting balance right now, because like it went from like having crazy anxiety, and just then it kind of just it didn't seem like it just happened overnight. But when I think back, it kind of was just like at some point I realized, oh yeah, I haven't been anxious for a week. Oh, I haven't had like really any anxiety with this for a couple weeks, and just like it's just it like adapted to be my new normal. It doesn't mean that I'm like where I'm going to end up. Like this isn't like the end point, if there ever is one. There's still a lot of adjusting and stuff that I'm doing and whatever. This sounds like I'm not excited about it, and I don't know how to, whatever, this is the reality. I don't know how to explain it, because it's something that I had a choice to be a part of or not. It's that simple. And I, for all intents and purposes, made a choice to be involved and to be a part of it, and to shift my priorities and have different responsibilities, and still be me and still accomplish what I need to and what I want to and whatever. But this is like, choosing to like start dating somebody is different than, hey, I never wanted kids and now I'm gonna start dating somebody with kids, and what does that mean? And like, I don't know, it's just like a complete, I don't know how to explain it, just everything that I went through and I'm still going through, but like not to the level I was before. I'm just trying to, I knew there was no way that I could logic into, like, I don't know, like I said, I logicked my way out of anxiety and said, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want this or that I can't handle this or whatever. But there's no way to like logically be like, you know what, yeah, I do want kids. Yeah, I do. Like, no, it's a matter of just, I don't know how to explain it. It's not something that I can just like decide. I had to like feel it out, and it didn't come to me like a revelation. Like, yeah, this is what I want. I want a family. Like, no, that didn't happen. It didn't just. There wasn't like a eureka moment. Like, it just has been. I don't know. It's just been coming more naturally, and I don't know what other word to use. Been it's just been going. Like, it's just been like going along and not being weird about it. Like, it just seems to be a part of things, and it's not 100% like, I don't know, there's still things that I'm working out or whatever. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling so much. But this is like, I don't know, this is like a thing. And anyway, like I said, the Crystalia thing, and like, just was interesting because, again, with selfishness, and I don't think it's a bad selfishness to have all these plans and these things you want to accomplish. And not that I'm not going to do that anymore, but it is going to be incredibly different at this point, because I don't have just myself and like a partner to think about. It's like, oh yeah, there's kids, and if there ever becomes something more in the future, like where I live in the same household as these kids, just be whatever. It's just a shift in just who I've been for a long time, and what I thought my life was going to be like. And this is all leading up to this like feeling of baby fever that I think I don't have at this second, but I did like an hour ago really hard, and I've never really had that. But I messaged a couple people this picture that somebody on my Facebook posted that was like a baby announcement, and I shared it because I was criticizing it really hard, and I was like, oh, this thing is super basic, and I was like, you would never catch me doing that stuff. I was like, and then I said, if I ever had like a baby to announce, this is how I would go about it. And I had like these two examples, and one of them was like about just like, oh, it would just be a picture of me holding my newborn child, and just like their full name, and just like very formal, short. It's not like some real basic, like cheesy, stupid thing. And it would happen after the kid was already like existing, and it wouldn't be like an announcement before it happened, and like, I don't know, whatever. It was just a thing. But then, like, I'm a really visual person, so I saw it. I saw me like holding this kid, and then all of a sudden, just mad baby fever, and I just don't get that. I'd never have it. Like, it's just never happened before, and it's not. It's not that that's really. I don't know. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think I'll ever have a child of my own because of timing in my life, for one reason. Oh, this feels weird to say right now. Like I said, it's all really new and raw. Like, even right now, like having baby fever an hour ago is not something I've ever felt before. And I was just about to say, like, I don't think I'll ever have a child of my own. And then it like felt weird, like processing through my consciousness before it came out of my mouth. I don't know. It made me sad for like 1 second to say that. Whereas before, it never did. It never did. It was no question. There was no question. It would just never happen. And now it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's never going to happen. Like, I'm pretty sure right now. And then it made me just a little tiny bit sad. Which, I don't know. That's weird. I know that people change, and I know that things change, and situations and life does its magic. But like, like I said, for over a decade, I had been on the same page with myself. So many changes seem to happen, naturally in your youth. Up until you're 20, there's a certain amount of changes that happen, and then I think you just change less and less and less and less and less. I mean, people still change. They have the capacity to change, especially when there's things like trauma involved and like really big incidences in life. But I mean, I'm a proponent of always changing and growing and learning and stuff like that, of course. But when it comes to things like this, being like, yeah, I never thought I wanted kids, and then it didn't just happen like that. But in comparison to over 10 years of not wanting it consistently, and then within like 6 months turning around to where I am now is nuts. It's just, yeah. I don't know. It's just something else. And, yeah, I had way more to say about the Man on Fire thing, and it all just completely left my head after I got baby fever. Because I was thinking about this video for a couple hours before I had baby fever, because it was going to kind of be a little about something else, but not really. But kind of. It was going to take a different fork in the road, and now, I don't know. I don't know. It's, like I said, there's just a little hint of sadness there, because I really don't think it's going to happen. But then again, nothing necessarily is 100%, and if I really wanted it to happen, maybe it could. But I'm not I don't know. I don't know. This is all new and weird, and I'm trying to navigate it, which is why I'm having this conversation, because I don't know. It's not like, oh, okay. Sorry, my phone said the camera turned off, but it didn't. So, I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, it's new, it's weird, it's different. I just like it's. I haven't really reflected on the changes this much in months, in like 2 months maybe, or a month and a half. It's been a while in the context of the whole thing, of like relationships and spending time and whatever. And I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I'm so careful with what I say because it doesn't just involve me right now. And whenever I try to bring what I would call other people's stories into my story, I know that I have to be more careful than I've been in the past because I share too readily, and I'm trying to, at last, finally acknowledge that and also make adjustments to my speech and what I share and how I share it. And anyway, I think that's all I can get out today because I just really don't know where to go from there. But that's, in some ways, I feel like this should have been like part of the vlog as like an update on my life. Like, hey, everybody, but that seemed weird. It was just really like, man, like, I don't know where I had baby fever. And like, I just imagined, yeah, okay, that's enough out of me. Whew.